Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be looking at uh, how to sound confident when you're speaking English like a native speaker here in the U.S.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good one. And luckily you sent us this great YouTube video all about it.
Yes, episode 4 from Fluent English Vibes. I love that channel.
Me too. They have such great examples, and we're going to be listening to some clips from the episode, but we're going to be going deeper than they do in the video.
Exactly. We really want you to understand the why behind these phrases, and you know why they work, why they sound natural and confident to American English speakers.
Right. So let's jump right in. Our first scenario is ordering a coffee,
Okay.
which honestly can sometimes be more stressful than it needs to be.
Right.
Let's hear how they do it in the clip.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good.
here's the clip.
Great.
All right, so in the clip, the guy orders a cappuccino by saying, "Can I get a medium cappuccino, please?"
Yes.
Now, I know that sounds pretty basic, but I used to just say, like, one cappuccino or cappuccino, please.
Oh, yeah.
But after watching this video, I realized how much more natural and confident it sounds to say, "Can I get?"
It really does, and it's all about being polite and indirect.
Yeah, because I always felt a little weird just saying, like, "Give me a cappuccino," you know?
Right. In American English, we tend to use more indirect language to be polite, especially when you're asking someone to do something for you.
Yeah, like, you're not demanding it, you're requesting it.
Exactly. And it shows that you respect the other person's time and effort.
Huh. So it's not just about getting the words right, it's about showing respect and being aware of those social cues.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's ordering coffee.
What's next?
Next up, we have asking for directions.
Okay.
Another situation that could be a little nerve-wracking, especially if you're in a new place.
Definitely.
So let's listen to the clip and see how they do it.
All right.
Okay, so in the clip, the woman asks for directions by saying, "Excuse me, can you help me? I'm trying to find Central Park." So simple and direct. I love that because
Yeah.
I tend to overthink it. Like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to bother you, but do you think maybe?" But in this clip, she just gets straight to the point.
Exactly. And that's key when you're asking for directions.
It is.
Yes, you want to be clear and concise because the other person probably doesn't have a lot of time.
Right, they might be in a hurry.
Plus, starting with it, excuse me, shows that you're being respectful of their time and space.
So it's kind of like ordering coffee. You're being indirect and polite,
Right.
but also direct about what you need.
You got it. It's all about finding that balance. Okay, so we've covered ordering and directions.
The two things I get the most nervous about.
Uh-huh. But we're not done yet. Now we're going to tackle the dreaded small talk.
Ooh, yeah.
The bane of many an English learner's existence.
I know. But it's such an important part of American culture.
It really is. You can't really escape it.
So let's hear how they handle it in the clip.
Okay.
So they start by talking about the weather, which is like the classic small talk opener.
Oh, for sure.
But what I found interesting was how they kept the conversation going. They didn't just say like, "Yeah, nice weather," and then that's it.
Right. They actually engaged with each other.
Exactly. The
Mm.
guy said something like, "Finally, no rain," which showed that he was happy about the weather, and the woman asked, "Are you from around here?" Which was a great way to learn more about him.
And that's the whole point of small talk, right?
It is.
Yeah. It's not about having a deep conversation. It's just about connecting with someone on a basic level, making that initial connection.
Like breaking the ice.
Exactly. And those little follow-up questions and comments show that you're interested in the other person, even if it's just for a minute or two.
Huh. So I guess small talk isn't as scary as I thought.
It doesn't have to be, as long as you remember to be yourself and to show genuine interest in the other person.
All right, so we've covered ordering, directions, and now small talk.
What's next?
Now let's move on to something a little more transactional.
Okay.
Shopping.
Ooh, fun.
I love shopping, but sometimes I get a little tongue-tied when I'm trying to ask for help.
Yeah, I can see that.
So let's hear what they do in the clip.
Okay.
Okay, so in the clip, the woman asks, "Do you have this in a smaller size?"
Simple and to the point.
I know. Why didn't I ever think of that? I always end up saying something like, "I was wondering if maybe you might have this in a smaller size."
Uh-huh.
It's so much easier and more confident to just be direct,
It really is. And it also shows the sales assistant that you're serious about buying something.
which is probably good, right?
Absolutely. They're more likely to help you if they think you're actually going to buy something.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So even if you're not 100% sure if you want to buy something, it's better to sound confident and decisive.
Exactly. You can always change your mind later.
True. Okay, so we've covered ordering, directions, small talk, shopping.
Wow. We've gotten through a lot.
I know. I'm feeling more confident already. But there's one more situation I want to talk about.
What's that?
Ending a conversation.
Ooh, that can be a tricky one.
I know, right? Especially if you're not sure how to do it politely.
Exactly. You don't want to just walk away abruptly, but you also don't want to keep talking forever.
Right. So let's hear what they do in the clip.
Okay.
Perfect. That was so smooth. And she used a couple of key phrases that I want to point out.
Okay, tell me.
First, she said, "It was nice talking to you," which acknowledges the conversation and shows that she enjoyed it.
That's important.
Then she said, "I should get going now," which signals that she's ready to leave.
Right. But in a polite way.
Exactly. And finally, she said, "Have a great day," which is a nice way to end on a positive note.
It's like a little gift you give the other person.
Oh, I like that. So it's like a formula for ending a conversation gracefully. It shows respect for the other person,
Yeah.
but it also lets them know that it's okay to move on.
Absolutely. It's all about those subtle cues and social graces that make American English sound so natural.
And confident.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what's so cool about those closing phrases?
It's that.
It's like they're not just about being polite.
Right.
It's also about kind of managing expectations, you know?
Oh, yeah, like setting those boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're letting the other person know that the conversation is coming to an end.
Right, and it's not sudden.
Right. It's not out of the blue. It's not rude.
You're easing out of it.
Exactly. And that makes it so much more comfortable for everyone.
I know. I hate it when people just cut you off like mid-sentence.
It's the worst.
It makes you feel like you did something wrong.
Yeah, or like they just don't care what you have to say.
Right, exactly. But using those closing phrases,
Just smooths everything over.
it does. It shows respect.
And it leaves everyone feeling good.
I love that. Okay, so we've looked at all these specific situations.
Ordering directions, small talk.
Shopping, ending conversations.
It's a lot.
But what about that overall feeling of confidence? You know, it makes someone sound like they really own the language, even if they're not fluent.
That is a great question. And I think it comes down to two main things.
What are they?
Projection and clarity.
Projection, like speaking up.
That's part of it, but it's more than that.
What else is there?
It's about enunciating clearly, using the right intonation, and speaking at a good pace.
Even if you had to like pause and think for a second.
Even then.
So it's about being comfortable with your voice.
Exactly. Like you're not afraid to be heard.
I like that. Okay, so what about clarity?
Well, that's about choosing your words carefully and constructing your sentences in a way that's easy to understand.
So like not using too much slang.
You can use slang, just make sure it's appropriate for the situation.
Right. So basically it's about getting your message across in a clear and concise way.
Exactly. It's about avoiding that word salad that can happen when you're nervous.
Totally. I know all about word salad. So basically, to sound confident, you need to be clear and concise.
And project your voice. Don't be afraid to be heard.
I love it. Okay, so projection, clarity, directness.
It's a good recipe for confident English.
It is. But wait, there's more, right?
There's always more.
Because communication isn't just about words.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's about like your whole presence.
It's real,
right?
like your body language, your energy, all of it.
This is audio. They can't see us.
True. But believe it or not, people can still sense your presence through your voice.
Really?
Yeah. If you're slouched over and mumbling, people can hear that.
So I should be like sitting up straight right now.
It can't hurt.
Like I'm giving a presentation or something.
Uh-huh. Maybe not that formal, but you get the idea.
Shoulders back, chin up.
Project that confidence.
Even if I don't feel confident.
Fake it till you make it.
I love it. So it's all about that mind-body connection.
It really is. And the amazing thing,
What?
when you sound confident, people are more likely to perceive you as competent and trustworthy.
Ooh, that's powerful.
It is. It's like that secret ingredient that makes your English shine.
I love that. It's funny though, right? Like we've been talking about all these things that make American English sound confident, but I'm wondering like how much of this is universal?
That's a great question.
Like do these same rules apply in other cultures?
Yeah. Well, that's what's so fascinating about language.
What?
It's like a window into how different cultures think and interact with each other.
That is so true.
Like we talked about how Americans value directness.
Right, like when you're asking for directions or shopping.
Exactly. But in some cultures, that can be seen as really rude.
Ooh, yeah. I remember when I was in Japan,
Oh, yeah.
I was so nervous about saying the wrong thing
I bet.
because politeness is so important there.
It is.
So I was always like overthinking everything.
And it's not just about the words you use. It's also about things like eye contact and body language.
Oh, yeah. Those things can have totally different meanings in different cultures.
Exactly. Like in some cultures, it's rude to make eye contact.
Really?
But in America, it's seen as a sign of respect.
Wow. I never thought about that.
It's amazing, right?
It is. It's like there's this whole other layer of communication that we're not even aware of.
Right. And that's why it's so important to be mindful of cultural differences.
Especially when you're traveling or talking to people from other countries.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want to accidentally offend anyone.
No, you don't.
So it's like learning a whole new language.
It kind of is. It's like learning the cultural subtext.
I like that, the cultural subtext.
Because it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it and in what context.
That's deep.
It is. But it's also really fascinating.
It is. And I think this has been such a fascinating deep dive.
I agree.
We've learned so much about sounding confident in American English.
From specific phrases to cultural nuances.
And everything in between.
It's been a journey.
It has. And I hope our listeners feel more confident and aware of how they're communicating in English.
Me too. And I hope they continue to explore and learn.
Because language is a lifelong journey.
It really is. And the more you learn, the more connected you'll feel to the world around you.
I love that. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Now that you've learned all these tips and tricks for sounding confident in American English,
Yes.
go out and practice.
Yes.
Listen to how native speakers talk.
Pay attention to their tone of voice, their body language, their word choice.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Mistakes are how we learn.
Exactly. So embrace them and keep practicing, and I promise you'll start to feel more and more confident.
I know you will. So that's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
And happy conversing.